Today, on Guess What I Found Out, we're going to talk about why your brain is basically running background checks on every single stranger you meet, and it's doing it faster than you can finish saying nice to meet you. Last time, Curious George, we found out humans are the only animals on this entire planet who bother putting on pants. Naked apes dressing up like it's a costume party that never ends because our brains are obsessed with signaling who we are before we even open our mouths. Turns out that same overachieving brain doesn't stop working once the outfit's chosen. Every conversation you've ever had, it was scanning, judging, deciding whether you were worth its time. Before we get into that, hit subscribe, because apparently I need the validation almost as much as your brain needs to size up a stranger in 90 seconds. That's not an exaggeration, by the way. That's the actual science, and we're getting into it right now. Here's the deal. There's this thing people call chemistry, that spark, that click, that feeling like you've known someone for years after 5 minutes. Poets call it fate. Scientists call it something far less romantic. They call it pattern recognition. Somewhere behind your eyes, a tiny, judgmental bureaucrat is stamping every new person you meet with a rating, welcoming, interesting, trustworthy, worth it or not. I'm calling this little bureaucrat the brain bouncer, because that's basically its job. It stands at the velvet rope of your attention, and it decides in seconds who gets in. And I do mean seconds. This isn't some slow, deliberate committee meeting happening in your skull. The brain bouncer is fast, unbothered, and frankly, a little rude about it. It's clocking your tone of voice, your posture, the questions you ask, and how you respond to what it hears. All before your conscious brain has even decided if it likes the free appetizer this person just offered up. The wild part is you can't turn this system off. It's running right now, on me, judging how I deliver this sentence. Please be kind, brain bouncer. I have notes to hit. Let's start with the worst opening line in human history. How are you? I don't even need a study to tell you this one's a dud, but there is one, so let's use it anyway. The problem isn't the question, it's the answer. How are you produces exactly one response, good, you, and the second that leaves someone's mouth. The brain bouncer clocks it as boring and starts checking its phone. You want a different answer. Try asking what made them smile today. That question does something sneaky. It sends their brain backward into a memory, a real one, with real feelings attached to it. Research published in the Journal of Abnormal Psychology found that pulling up a positive memory can actually re-trigger the good feelings tied to it temporarily. Now, here's where I have to be honest with you, Curious George, because, well, accuracy matters more to me than a clean narrative. That study wasn't really about small talk at parties. It was about people struggling with low mood, trying to use happy memories to feel better, and finding out it's harder than it sounds. So the mechanism is real. Recalling a good memory can genuinely lift your mood. But the leap from clinical mood research to flirty icebreaker is one the internet made on its own. Doesn't mean the icebreaker's bad. Just means the science backing it is doing more legwork than it signed up for. Now, stick with me, because this is where it gets good, and I promise the payoff is worth the wait. We haven't even gotten to the part where saying someone's name is basically a magic trick. That's coming. But first, one more thing about the brain bouncer you need to understand. It's not just judging you, it's betting on you. Every second of a conversation, some part of your brain is quietly asking, is this going somewhere interesting? And that anticipation itself, the not knowing, the maybe, is doing something chemically. There's a well-known body of research on the brain's reward system. And one of the big findings is that wanting something, anticipating it, actually drives motivation more than getting it does. That research was built around addiction and craving, not dinner party conversation. So let's not pretend your brain is exactly the same, whether it's chasing a slot machine or a good chat. But the underlying wiring, the part that lights up that maybe something good is coming, that part doesn't seem to care what the good thing is. Curiosity keeps people leaning in. Predictability makes them lean out. Every time you leave a sentence just slightly unfinished, every time you tease the next thought, instead of handing over the whole thing at once, you are, whether you meant to or not, pulling the exact same lever a slot machine pulls. Uncomfortable comparison, I know. Doesn't make it less accurate. Okay, tip 2. Say their name. Occasionally, naturally, when it actually fits. Here's why. Your name is one of the most familiar sounds in the entire world to your own brain. Brain imaging research found that hearing your own name lights up regions tied to self-recognition and attention in a way that hearing other people's names doesn't. That's a real solid finding. Where the story tends to get a little embellished online is the claim that this triggers a dopamine hit, like your brain is throwing a little parade every time someone says your name. That specific chemical claim wasn't actually what the brain imaging study measured. It measured activation, not neurotransmitter release. So the effect is real, your name catches your brain's attention like almost nothing else can. But the dopamine fireworks show is more assumption than evidence. All right, quick pause, Curious George, because I want your opinion on something. Out of the tricks we're covering today, positive memory questions, using someone's name, or the one I haven't told you yet, which one do you think actually works best on you personally? Drop it in the comments and tell me why. I actually read these, mostly to argue with people. Last one, and it's the sneakiest of the three because you've probably done it without noticing. It's called the chameleon effect. When two people are getting along, they start mirroring each other without meaning to. Same posture, similar gestures, matching tone. A now classic study found that people who were subtly mimicked by someone else reported liking that person more and rated the interaction as smoother, without ever consciously clocking why. That study is decades old at this point, and like a lot of older social psychology, some later attempts to replicate the exact effect size have gotten mixed results. The core idea still holds up reasonably well. Mimicry does correlate with rapport, but treat it as a strong tendency, not an ironclad law of physics. Your brain bouncer is watching body language as closely as it's watching words, maybe closer. It clocked whether you leaned in when someone told a good story, whether your arms uncrossed a little, whether your foot pointed toward them instead of the exit. None of that ever showed up as a thought you consciously had. It just showed up as a feeling afterward, that vague sense of, yeah, I liked them, without a single reason attached. So here's the actual takeaway. And I promise it's less cynical than your brain is secretly grading everyone you meet. Chemistry isn't magic, and it isn't random either. It's built moment by moment out of small, repeatable choices. Ask a better question. Use a name once in a while. Let your body do what it already wants to do around someone you like. None of this guarantees a soulmate is going to fall out of the sky. What it does is give the brain bouncer a reason to wave you through the rope, instead of leaving you standing outside in the cold, the same way our clothes obsessed. Chemistry-chasing species has been figuring out how to read each other since we first started wearing something other than nothing. If this scratched that itch, the itch to understand why your own brain does the weird things it does, go check out the video on why humans are the only animals that bother wearing clothes. Same brain, same species, same relentless need to broadcast something about ourselves before a single word gets said. Hit like, hit subscribe, until the next time we crack open something the brain's been doing to us this whole time without asking permission. See you there, Curious George.